The letting go technique is so powerful and so simple, and it will change your life when you begin applying it to different aspects of your life. Here's the technique. All you do is what you do with the letting go technique is you let the sensation be there. You let whatever the emotion is be there. You simply observe it and you allow it to be there and you experience it fully. That's the first part of it. The second part of it is just you simply make a choice to let it go. It's that simple. And what happens is when we are trying to control reality, that's where resistance comes into play. Think about it, like controlling anything, the outcome of something in your life, what people think about you, that is attachment to outcome. That is attachment to what other people think. Even as I'm doing this right now, I am remembering and shifting into the awareness because if you saw one of my prior stories, I got stepped on a jellyfish thing on the beach, like a dead jellyfish tentacle or something like that. And apparently there's still poison in it. And it's extremely itchy, the bottom of my foot. There's a little speck and it's really, really itchy. And it feels so good to itch it. When I itch it, it feels so good. But then the more I itch it, the more I scratch it. I'm sorry, I know some of you in the story when I posted it, like, you don't itch and itch, you scratch and itch. Okay, I get it, okay? But scratching it, wow, feels so good. But even now, I should probably put my foot down because I keep getting tempted subconsciously to scratch the itch, not to itch the itch. What if you let go? Like imagine in my DMs when I said that story, people were saying, it's itch, it's scratch, not itch. What if you just let go and you let me incorrectly use English language in the way that I wanted to? Okay? I say itch. I'm going to itch it. It doesn't make sense to you, but it does to me. Let me have that misinterpretation of it. If you just be inside of your body and you feel inside of your body and you feel he's saying it wrong, but you're like, I'm just going to be with that emotion. I'm going to experience it fully. And then I'm just going to let it go. Let him believe what he wants to believe. If he wants to itch his itch, he's going to do it. If he wants to itch his scratch, he will do it. All right? Yeah. Just itch that itch. It is what reality is what you make it. It's only when we believe that other people have to agree to our interpretation. Things can get tricky. Okay, so even as I'm here right now, I keep trying to scratch it. It feels so good. It feels so good, but I have to let it be there. And the funny thing is when I let it be there, after about 5 minutes, I completely forget about it. It's just the more I scratch it, the more good it feels. And you guys see what I'm saying here? So if you have questions, so basically it then goes away. So the other aspect of letting go is realizing that the belief is, because that's really what attachment is. What the Buddha said and other people, attachment is the root of all suffering. Desire and attachment is the root of all suffering. What happens is attachment and desire is a belief and an intention to control reality. Because if we can control reality, then we can feel different on the inside. Does that make sense? But when we believe, that the challenge is that we believe that if we control, we'll feel good. We'll feel in familiar energy. I was going to go scratch it. I'm not gonna. I was going to go itch it. I'm not gonna. I'm going to let it be there. I'm going to feel it and experience it fully and just let go. Okay? I'm doing it in real time. Don't itch. Don't itch it. You mean scratch it? Don't you mean scratch? Who says itch? You going to itch it? I'm just kidding. So if you have stories about, or if you have questions about letting go, put it in the chat. I'm going to be answering questions about letting go. But in general, like, it's interesting. The most my YouTube channel has overgrown was the least attached I was to outcome. I was just in the flow of the process of making videos, of following the zone of genius. I was in momentum. And what happens is I would think about it. I would sometimes try to control and then intend for certain videos to go viral, etc. And that would create resistance because it's an attachment to outcome. Think about it just in the form of energy, right? The more energy behind it, the more energy behind resisting anything, the more we create, almost like the more you butcher it up. Nice. So someone says, how do you feel and let go when it is a pattern that keeps repeating, i.e. relationships? So the first thing you do is you become aware that the pattern keeps repeating is already a step ahead than if the pattern was repeating and you weren't aware of it at all. Because what will happen is at times there will be a reflection in your life of old patterns coming to the surface, but prior you may have not been aware of it. Now, you might be aware of it, and the key is that's the key right there. Because then you can make a new choice. Then you start to see red flags that you used to see as red roses. Does that make sense? So that's one thing that I think makes a huge difference. Oh, not gonna scratch it. So if you have questions about this, go and put it in. About letting go specifically. Not Kriya Yoga. I see a question on Kriya Yoga. Let's see. Yeah, anytime there's intention behind what you do, it's also, I think that's another aspect of letting go, is being aware of having pure intention versus intention based on trying to control things. I guess it's also intention based on the process. Like when I run live events, if my intention is just to have fun, it's so similar to even when I sold women's shoes, right? When I'm running live events, if I make it about the art, I want to have fun, I want to connect with people, that is an energy that yields great results. When I go into a live event and I'm like, I want to get great content, I want to do this, I want to do that, attachment to outcome, resistance. When I used to work that 9-to-5 job, if I would go in selling women's shoes and the goal was, I want to sell $5,000 worth of shoes today, resistance, attachment to outcome. Every customer I saw was like, think about this. Here we go. Here's the flow state is coming now. When I was going into my job selling women's shoes and I saw other customers, I saw them as a means to an end. This customer I will help. They will help me make my day because they will add to my day of $5,000 that I want to sell. I am manipulating people to make my ends meet. If I were to run a live event and I'm like, I want to get great content, I am then manipulating the people, the experience, the environment to make my needs met. Creates resistance. But when I go into the experience and I want to have fun, I want to connect, I want to sharpen the skill, I want to be present to the moment. That's where magic is. So when it comes to attachment, if we are attached to what other people think of us, that's also a form of manipulation. Who do I need to be so that you approve of me? Think about that. And then you end up abandoning yourself to make somebody else happy, but you're literally trying to manipulate them. So how do you stop trying to manipulate the universe, trying to manipulate other people, etc.? A huge part of doing that is letting go. Is letting go of believing the ego knows. Because the ego wants to stay in familiar territory. The ego wants to recreate familiar dynamics over and over again. So letting go is really a choice that you make as well. Letting go is only hard when we believe it has to be hard. And a lot of times what makes it hard is our belief that it's hard. And then also what makes it hard is that the familiar is so normal and we fight for what we know instead of the fear of the unknown. I'm going to answer some questions here in a second on this. Someone said, is it okay if I go silent to my ex-boyfriend as I am letting go? 100%. In fact, I would recommend it. If it's your ex-boyfriend and your intention is to let go, going no contact will be much easier for you to detach the energy cords, to detach the associations, etc. So give yourself permission to do that if you're feeling called to it, especially. You know, I think every time we talk to other people, we interact with other people, it sounds esoteric to say, but think about it like an energy cord that is connected to you and other people in your life, especially the people you're around the most. Now, why is it that so often people will let go of an ex or let go of someone from their past, and the moment they truly let go, it's like the other person can feel that. Because you've taken your power back. You're no longer feeding them a supply, projecting energy at them. And this is why one of the most magnetic things you can do, the most magnetic qualities you will have in your life, is when you are simply more present and inside of your body. That's it. You don't have to think of yourself in a certain way and project it out to reality. You don't have to worry about what everyone else thinks about you. All you have to do is bring energy inside of your body and be present. And when you are present and you are in a flow state, you are not thinking or projecting onto reality what you want. You're just being. And this is why when it comes to growing a business, when it comes to success in any area of your life, when you are in a flow state and you are loving what you are doing, you don't have to willpower yourself into doing something. Do you see? You don't have to willpower yourself there to make success happen. And once again, one of the things I think happens very often with people that have had relational or spiritual trauma in the past, growing up, is what is something that feels very good to believe about reality that you can just focus on more, so that you don't ever have to feel uncomfortable emotion. If I can manifest and create my reality and I can visualize what I want and then experience it in reality, I can trust and allow because I know what's happening here, then I see it out of reality. It's a form of control. Now, having a general energy and an intention to going in a certain direction can be very powerful. I for sure have a vision for where I want to go, but that vision is also connected to a soul purpose, to a soul aliveness. The questions I ask now in my life are, how do I get in my zone of genius more and more? How do I enjoy life more and more? From the energy state of me in my zone of genius, things become very clear. I'm in the right place at the right time. My zone of genius at live events even. When I'm in that, there's more opportunity for more magical moments to be created. And that was one thing that I've realized, like the more I do these live events, the more I get into that energy state, and the more I then feel the difference between when I'm doing that versus when I'm forcing myself to do something else. So when it comes to other people, understand that you can still be in connection to other people, but you don't need to be trying to get something from them that a past version of you might feels they need. That inner child part of you might be what you need to pay attention to. It can be so powerful. So how do I let go of stored anxiety and trauma in my body? One thing is the letting go technique that we talked about. What if you let the anxiety be there? What if you let the trauma even be there? Which is very opposite what most people think they should do, because everybody wants to get rid of the trauma. Everyone wants to get rid of the anxiety. And if you were to imagine that you have an inner anxious child or an inner traumatized child, and you were thinking, how do I get rid of you? How do I get rid of you? How do I get rid of you? How do you think that inner child feels? Trying to get rid of it. When instead, if you let it be there and you see it as something that you can connect to, you can then allow processing to happen, integration to happen. So a lot of this is about becoming aware of these energies, but letting yourself feel it, not trying to change it, not trying to control it. This happens, by the way, a lot of times when it comes to letting go, because what we'll do is we're trying to let go, or we're trying to change and transform because of where we want to get. Where I am right now is not good enough. I am not healed enough, but I will get there one day once I do more inner work. I think it's noble and powerful to do inner work, but there's a balance to that inner work and that integration. Because the paradox of it is the more you try to change, the more you are also saying, I'm not good the way that I am right now. See, there's something else I have to let go of. And then more shame comes. I can't even let go. See, let go is supposed to be easy. Aaron says it's easy now. I think it's hard, so I'm doing something else wrong. But what if these are all reflections of energy that's unprocessed on the inside, and we're just using these different things as excuses? This is where we'll also get into projection, repression, suppression. This is what Carl Jung talks about when it comes to becoming aware of the shadow. Becoming aware of the shadow, the subconscious aspect of ourself that we many times aren't aware of. So, let's see, let me answer a few more questions before I keep going on. I interviewed for my dream job, like 1,000 people applied, and I'm anxious to hear back. What should I do? You know what's interesting is I've had experiences before where there's even one that I can think of when I was first learning about some of these concepts. One of them was something I started to apply in my life. It came from a book called Reality Transurfing, and it was called Decreasing Importance. Anything we put on a pedestal, we make really, really important, we energetically separate ourselves from it. And what happens is the story, which you might say, well, it's a true story, Aaron. 1,000 people have applied. Well, what happens is that story also creates importance, especially if you really, really want it. And what happens is the anxiety that you feel, I would let yourself feel it. Welcome it. Let it be there. And understand that your ego thinks it knows that that's your dream job, right? Your ego's like, this is my dream job. I really, really want it. There's a divine spiritual side of you that has greater vision than the ego. So even though the ego thinks it knows what's best, if you can trust the divine or trust God, you can take the pressure off. You can take the resistance off. So what if the ego doesn't know what's best? I've had it happen before where I remember I wanted this house and a whole bunch of people applied for this house. And this is when I first was reading that book, Reality Transurfing, and I was telling myself a story. There's so many people applied for this house. They're going to get it. They're older. They're like more established than me maybe. This is when I was just getting on YouTube and starting to make more money. However, I let go and I would visualize myself as already being in it, knowing and trusting that if it's not this house, it'll be a house that's similar that I'll like just as much. And when I was getting into that energy, it decreased the importance. And eventually I ended up getting into the house, even though there was a whole bunch of other people. But there are times I've done this and it hasn't worked. And what happened is then I trusted and something better came into my life. But it does require an understanding that the ego thinks it knows what's best, and the ego wants that dream job because it's its way of controlling reality instead of giving it up to God or the divine. Do you see how that feels different, that energy? What if it wasn't your job to make this happen? What if you could give it up to God? Give it up to the divine? Then it's easier to let go, right? One of the reasons I think it's hard for people to let go is because they stay in the ego. I must control. I must stay attached. I must desire. If I don't want it, I'm not going to get it. And in fact, when you stop wanting, you then can move into being and having. But the key to this is the missing key for so many people, and the thing that makes letting go hard is there's not a focus on God or the divine, whatever the universe, whatever name you want to give it. When you surrender it to God, you surrender it to something greater than yourself. It's easy to let go when you have a connection to something divine. It is very hard to let go when you believe your ego must do everything. So whatever block you're experiencing in your life right now, whether it's with a relationship, whether it's with a job, whatever it is, you will feel resistance and pressure if you believe you have to be the one to do everything. But what if you could let it go? What if you could let the sensation be there? What if you could welcome it into your body? And what if you could let go knowing God or the divine can pull through? You might not understand it in the moment, but if you are connected to something, if you are connected to this divine energy, it makes it way, way more, just way easier to trust. Because you can surrender and know you don't have to figure it all out. Someone says, how do you forgive yourself after a breakup that was your fault and you love the other person? With forgiveness, what I've realized and what I've been able to tap into is understanding that people are always doing the best they can with the level of consciousness they're at the time. So once you have the awareness, you can learn from it. And in an interesting way, you can be grateful. Can you be grateful for that relationship? Can you be grateful for what you learned? And even though we might judge our past self for something that happened, one thing that you can realize is maybe it's allowing you to go deeper inside of yourself. You know, at the deepest levels of forgiveness, what Eckhart Tolle says is that there's nothing to forgive, which is very interesting to hear that, especially for people that have been through some crazy stuff in the past. But what it's meant by it is what is doing a lot. So if you want to forgive yourself, understand this. We take on the story a lot of times of these emotional things that happen, and the story carries with it a lot of weight. And now what's really happening is underneath the story, there is unconsciousness. So when Eckhart Tolle says that there's nothing to forgive at the deepest level of forgiveness, what's meant is that the unconsciousness is what did it. The unconsciousness in family members and things that happened to you when you were a kid is what did it, and that's a part of the collective unconsciousness as well. So most likely your parents, it was like in your parents' parents, etc., down the bloodline. But what you can become aware of is you can forgive because you're learning that that unconsciousness is what did it. And now that you are consciously aware of it, you can do something about it. You're aware of it now. You're aware of how you feel as a response of that, right? Now there's something you can do with it. So the unconsciousness is what you're becoming aware of. And it also helps take away some of the story. I remember watching or hearing about Eckhart Tolle was doing a talk once, and someone was asking, like, how do I let go of betrayal? And he's like, basically what he said is he goes, whoa, betrayal, betrayal. This person betrayed me. Think about the weight of that energy, the weight of the story. If you break it down to its fundamental core, you can see what happened versus the story about what happened. And what happened may have been, at a certain level, it could be pretty neutral, but the story about it is what carries the weight. And when we realize people are doing the best they can with the level of consciousness they're at, it does help us take more of that power back. Helps us, and that was a big part of me being able to forgive some people from my past, was realizing they were playing out patterns that they had learned growing up. Didn't make it right, but it did help me understand. And in that understanding, there was a lot of healing. Feeling it, healing it. That's why also the process of Ho'oponopono is so powerful. And if you guys haven't checked it out, by the way, I have a free course called the High Vibe Starter Kit. It's completely free. We did a live call for it yesterday. If you comment Starter Kit, all one word, Starter Kit, STARTERKIT, you'll get sent automatically the information into the course. You can check it out. But there's breath work, meditation, the letting go technique, etc., that you can go deeper on all this stuff, in case you're interested. Let's see. How does letting go relate to abusive relationships, i.e. feeling guilt and shame for staying? Interesting. So letting go, the attachment, if we think of letting go, how does it relate to abusive, toxic relationships? Well, to let go, what is the attachment to? The attachment is to the relationship itself. The attachment may not even be to the relationship to the person, but it might be the relationship to the pattern. So if there's a relationship to a pattern of toxic energy or toxic dynamics, what is that attachment connected to? Maybe that attachment is connected to feeling responsible. Maybe that attachment is connecting to a codependency where you feel like if you can fix them, then everything will be okay. So you might be in the victim, perpetrator, rescuer triangle. But when you become aware of why do you feel responsible for this person? That's what guilt is. Guilt comes from responsibility. So one thing I recommend you do is you become aware of the sensations in your body and you let that responsibility be there. You let that shame and that guilt be there. Let it be there in your body. Welcome it. And then you can make the choice to let it go. And as you work through this, you'll find there's different layers of your body that you begin to feel more free. So that's how I would say work with that. And become aware of why. What are the payoffs you get for being in the relationship? Do you get to be right about reality, that all men or all women are this way? I remember for a long time I would attract controlling people in my life. And it felt familiar to childhood. So I got to say, I'm right about reality. I get to fight for my freedom, etc. I was a payoff there. I got to stay in familiar energy. Let's see. How do you let go of feeling like you don't stand for yourself when you ignore someone and that person tries everything to get your attention? back-mouthing, posting on Insta, crying. Once again, it's a similar thing of letting that feeling be there, where you might feel responsible for them. And a lot of times the breakthrough in experiences like this, especially if people are trying to get you to a place, if people are trying to get you to a place of feeling guilty, it is a form of manipulation, whether it's subconscious or conscious, to try and get you back, right? They're posting, they're bad-mouthing or back-mouthing, if that's the same thing, crying. And sometimes the more you feed into that, the more you hook into it, sometimes is the more supply you give, the more they have to work with. Whereas if you let them be in their energy, that's their stuff, not yours, you then start feeling more safe inside of your body. That might be the initiation towards you stepping into a new you. So if you want to really create a powerful shift, your breakthrough might be in letting them feel what they feel, knowing it's not your thing to manage. By you trying to fix them or you catering to it, you might actually be enabling them. Does that make sense? Let's see, I'm scrolling down now. Oh man, you guys have been commenting a lot. Okay. Yeah, bad-mouthing. It's interesting. When it comes to the victim-perpetrator-rescuer dynamic, there are moments where I do think there is power in addressing maybe the victimized child, right? Like to be validated in certain emotions can be a powerful stage. Sometimes, though, I think people can get caught up in it because there's payoffs from it, too. Like, you don't have to take action. You don't have to work to transform your life or to, bring in a new pattern, etc. But with therapy, it can be very soothing to, be witnessed in certain emotions that maybe have never been validated. Why do my exes come back right when I'm about to level up and I don't care about them anymore? How often does this happen? To all of you that are watching right now, many people have experienced this before. At live events, sometimes I'll ask, do you realize that it's like the moment you really don't care and you're good either way is the moment that option comes back? Now, energetically, this is why most people block connection, by the way. Most people block their own worth when they are projecting energy outside of themselves. It's like they're sending their ex energy, they're thinking about them, they're hoping, they're trying to manipulate them also. I want you to come back, I want you to come back, I want you to come back. You want something from them. And what happens when you're around someone that wants something from you? Do you want to give it? No. You can feel the control. You rebel. And then what happens is you finally take your energy back. You stop projecting energy at them. You start focusing on your own life, your own friends, your own family. You start focusing on yourself and you stop buying into the belief that you need something from them. And then that's when they come back. You've brought the energy back into yourself, which, by the way, is attractive. You're present inside of your body, which, by the way, is attractive. You're focusing on yourself and you're living in your own values, which is attractive. And you're no longer projecting energy at them, which was manipulative, which was dissipating your own power. So that's why it always happens when you don't care. Also, anytime you want, you lack. You're saying, how come when I don't care anymore, it then comes to me? You're not resistant anymore. Does that make sense? You stopped resisting. So there's a couple layers there, right? It's coming back because you're neutral. And ultimately, a lot of what happens that people create resistance is they pedestalize people and they create resistance. You can't connect with someone that treats you like a celebrity. You can't. It's weird. But when someone's able to treat you like a person, they don't treat you as less than them or better than them. It's neutral. Ultimately, that's what everybody is in your life, by the way. Everyone in your life isn't better than you or worse than you. That's a concept, right? But when you make it really resistant, yeah, you block connection from coming into your life. Yeah. So anyways, I'm starting to get hungry. What am I going to do? I'm going to go to the gym, chill. What are you guys doing? What are you guys doing today? So anyways, that's the letting go. I might go live a little more often and do these live calls, these live things. I'm also recording for YouTube as well, different side angle. Other than that, yeah, I'm going to be doing a lot more live events, recording a lot more live events, having more fun with all of you in person. And yeah, I think that's it for now. One of my most popular videos is actually on letting go. It's got over 1 million views. It's a complete guide to how you can let go, different examples of you showing you how you can do it. If you want to check it out, watch this video right here next, wire in what it means to let go, and watch how free you feel.